Good day to all participants and welcome to one of the conference of Climate Action Forum organized by the Malaysia Climate Change Group MCCG. So for this conference, we will talk about community and industry engagement, transition towards circular economy. So I'm Jajan, the moderator of the day. So today we are very honored to have our speakers. First will be Dr. Siva Balan. He's the head of Center of Excellence for Waste Management from Environmental Preservation and Innovation Center, EPIC. And then second, we have Ms. Tahira Muhammad Arif. She is the interim manager for Plastic Initiative from WWF Malaysia. Last but not least, we have Ms. Rachel Lienke. She is the business planning coordinator from Tai Technology based in Taiwan. Right. So I'm Mr. Fu, and I'm the one of the staff member of CG Foundation Malaysia Melaka chapter. Right. So before we start, as the global temperature hits the warmest month in May 2020, more actions have to be taken to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Humans' material use is closely linked to climate change. There's no doubt about it. According to the study conducted by Circle Economy, it calculates that 62% of global greenhouse gas emissions are released during the extraction, processing, and manufacturing of goods to serve the society's needs. Therefore, the smarter way to extract resources to produce new goods is to transit the current linear economy that we have now to a circular one in order to tip the balance against global warming. As we all know, the transition to circular economy requires proper strategy and coordination from different levels of stakeholders. So the transition is not possible if government and industries are the only ones playing the role in re-engineering supply chain, create circular inputs, and tackling planned obsolescence. So community is also one of the very important stakeholder as well. So today we will dive in to this topic, and then we will get to know how the community and also the industry can really work together for the transition of circular economy. So my first question is to Tahira. So there's a very big question. What does a circular economy really looks like, especially in the Malaysia context? All right, Tahira, you have the floor.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon to everyone. So nowadays we hear a lot of what linear economy and circular economy, but I would like to explain the brief difference between what circular and linear economy is. So our current economic model is called linear economy, where the system is mostly you take, make, and dispose of whatever products that you produce. So it is under the assumption that we have infinite resources to use, and which results in tremendous waste. So in this system, raw materials are collected, transformed into products that are used for a certain number of period of time, and finally discarded into waste, which ends up in landfills mostly. Value created in the system is usually by producing and selling as many products as possible, and the volume of products manufactured is very high. So in contrast, what circular economy is, it's a regenerative system, and it's designed to be more sustainable, and the economic development in the system is supposed to benefit all parties involved, businesses, societies, and as well as the environment. The system is actually, it aims to gradually decouple growth from consumption of finite resources, and materials to be designed to be reused and maintained within the economy, the circle, the loop, and with the intention to minimize waste and as well as to reduce the negative impacts on environment and society at large. To put it simply, I would like to say we follow the 3R approach that everyone is familiar with: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So the circular economy is intended to use these three concepts to its maximum value. So globally, let me share what global vision is first before I come down to Malaysia. So globally, there is a new vision for circular economy, what we call as a new plastics economy. And the vision is to have no plastic should end up in nature. No plastic should become waste or end up as pollution. So that is the big vision that we want to achieve in circular economy for plastics, for example. So why plastics is used as example and globally being talked about is because the root cause of most pollution, marine pollution, is happening from originates from plastic, and so the circular economy is currently being driven mostly in plastics initiative, but we hope to achieve this in overall concept for all products. So the circular economy is based on three main principles. We should design out waste and pollution through design, and keep products and materials in use as long as possible, and regenerate natural systems. So what we do in WWF globally and also in Malaysia is we work on a platform called No Plastics in Nature by 2030. So through this platform, we advocate for circular economy. And for us, circular economy has to look at all aspects of production, consumption, and as well as disposal of products. So right now, we advocate for three main actions to achieve this vision: is to eliminate all problematic and unnecessary plastics, innovate to make sure products, packaging, and as well as products are reusable, recyclable, and as well as compostable. So, and to make sure we can circulate the plastic items as well as the products that we produce to keep them in the system and economy as long as possible, and preventing any leakage to nature. So this is the overall plan that is happening globally and as well as in Malaysia in terms of the concept. So there are some initiatives in Malaysia driven by both the government as well as the industry in driving circular economy. For example, in Malaysia, the Ministry of Environment and Water, and as well as other ministries and agencies such as the Economic Planning Unit, are looking to uh, propose circular economy for plastics in as part of the 12th Malaysia Plan, and as well as CASA is looking to launch circular economy roadmap. So this initiative, we believe no individual party can do it alone. So the initiatives that are being driven are in collaboration with all parties involved, such as government and supporting agencies, industries such as multinationals, small and medium businesses, as well as communities and civil societies.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tahira, for sharing your thoughts. Yes, you mentioned a very good point that no individual party can do it alone, because circular economy is really a big topic and also very challenging. Many stakeholders, they have their own, how to say, yeah, they have their own worries, their own concern, regarding generating more profit, or how to say, conserve the environment. Yes. So talking about at the back end of creating waste. So Dr. Siva, I would like to invite you to tell us what are the challenges to really turn waste into the circular input in the circular economic context. Yes, Dr. Siva, you have the floor.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Fu. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. Okay. So, interesting question, how to turn waste into a circular input. And I take heed of what Tahira was brought up just now. No one organization or no one body can actually look at circular economy. Yes, circular economy is a all-encompassing solution that we need to look at. But more importantly, I think let's address, if you look at it in a systematic way, first of all, let's look at what is the problem. The problem is there is too much of waste material, and this waste material is because of human behavior. It is not because of the material. So people need to understand that in the first place. A lot of people say plastic is the problem. No, plastic is not the problem. Human beings are the problem. Human beings do not know how to handle the plastics. So the plastics is now a victim of our own actions. So these things needs to come out very clearly and very boldly before any action can be taken. Because a lot of people want to avoid the responsibility and say, hey, no, I'm switching to biodegradables. No, I'm switching to something else. No, I'm doing this. But the behavior, the consumption pattern is still the same. So no matter what material you take, until and unless the human beings change their own behavior, the other material which we switch to becomes the new problem. It is not about plastics or anything else. So turning waste into a circular input is something which is very noble, something which is very good. But first of all, the people need to change. The people need to change their behavior, not only in terms of going into biodegradables or taking a simple Tupperware to pack your food from your house. Yes, all of that is good, but how do you dispose of that material when you do not have a useful need for it? That is important. Number two, the minute the user hands over the material which he or she does not need anymore, then comes the question of, number one, what is the cost to recycle? Number two, once that material has been recycled, how much and where is the demand for the recycled material? And number three, where is the use of that recycled material in society? Now, saying all of this, I would like to take one example. In Malaysia, there is this thing called old newspaper, or we call it paper lama. Now, the old newspaper model is a very, very, very good, successful model in the country. Why do I say that? Because without any government incentive, without any policy paper being created or being told, without any regulation being implemented, every week without fail, you will get a paper lama guy or an old newspaper going through the various shopping, the various tamans and all of that, collecting this paper and then making it go through a middleman, which then goes to a collection center, and then it goes to the recycling company, and that recycling company then sends to the various companies that demand this recycled paper. So what is the cost for this? The cost for this circular economy to work is because a large, 2 or 3 large companies, Malaysian newsprint industry or any other newspaper industry has a very, very big demand for recycled paper. And that demand is becoming the vacuum cleaner that is cleaning all this waste material and taking it into and recycling it. And there is an economic value. You see, the vacuum cleaner can be there, but if there's no economic value in it, again, the demand dies. So this is the kind of model that needs to be replicated. If you look at plastics today, yes, plastics is recycled, but actually plastics are not recycled at all. Okay, out of the 7 types of plastics that we know of, the HDPE, the LDPE, the AS, the PPs and all of that, only 2 types of material has very good demand, and even that the price fluctuates depending on the demand from China. If the demand from China stops, the recycling stops in Malaysia. Why? Because the recycling in Malaysia is only up to level of the flakes or the pellets. We do not convert it into the end product, and that end product is not consumed in Malaysia. Whereas if you look at the paper industry, the material is recycled, the end product is converted into the pulp and paper, and the paper is then used within Malaysia. So everything carries on without any disruption. So in this case, to answer your question of how to turn waste into a circular input, the demand has to be in Malaysia. The recycling technology and the recycling has to happen until the product is to the end. And number 3, it has to make economical sense. I will stop at that for now.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Siva. Yes, the first point that you mentioned is really on the point of the human behavior. Totally agree with that. And also, when you say bringing technology into Malaysia is also one of the key points. If we don't keep the demand to be available in Malaysia, so the value apparently it will just drop, and then people will start saying there's no point of recycling, all these plastics or maybe other solid waste material. Yes. So
Yes.
for the next question, yeah, thank you, Dr. Siva. So for the next one, I will pass it to Tahira to share with us because when we talk about behavior, also the industry behavior also needs to be changed as well. And then one of them will be the extended producer responsibility (EPR). It's kind of new for maybe for the normal citizens. Then, Tyra, can you share with us what's EPR all about?
Hello. So I hope you can hear me now. So I have to agree with Mr. Siva on a few points that plastics is not the problem, it's the people, it's our consumption pattern that's driving it. So very true in case of what's happening right now, and as well as why recycling fails, why this pattern continues is also because there is no demand in Malaysia or in other countries as well. So that leads to the most problem of products with plastics or any products in the matter ends up as waste in landfills. So what we see now is globally, many of the multinational companies, global companies have taken up some measures to address this problem, to create, induce the demand through their company policies, such as to increase recycling, to be responsible for their product by collecting back, and as well as taking financial responsibilities as well. So this global commitments is also driving policy, and as well as industry commitments is driving initiatives such as EPR, extended producer responsibility. EPR is actually not a new concept. Even in Malaysia, as far as we know, this concept has been adopted in our legislations, in waste management legislations, and as well as Environmental Quality Act, as the base called polluter pay principle. So as a person or as a company who's bringing the products in the market, you are supposed to be responsible for the end of life management of the products and the packaging. So that's the basic concept for EPR. So let me just quickly go through our stand and our what we think on EPR about. So WWF we have identified EPR as a critical policy tool with a track record for holding manufacturers and as well as product owners accountable for end of life impacts of their products and packaging. And it's also a important tool in encouraging eco-design in the business sector, which will also eventually address the problem of lesser demand for recycled content of plastics and so on. So what we think EPR just let me quickly go through what is EPR, the definition of it. So EPR is actually a concept where it aims to reduce the environmental and as well as economic burdens of waste management by extending the responsibility, like I mentioned just now, be it products or packaging, to the end of life management. So there are two main features that differentiates EPR with other policies. First is it shares or shifts the responsibility of waste management or product management, either it's physical or economical in economic sense. It can be full responsibility or either partial responsibility towards the producers. Traditionally, in most countries, waste management is the responsibility and the economic and as well as the operation falls to the government as well as the municipalities. So EPR aims to shift the responsibility towards the producers themselves. Second, through the imposing or introducing, I would say, a certain economic responsibility, the system aims to provide incentives to producers to incorporate environmental considerations in the design of the products and packaging. The concept is to, when you start the product from zero, you have a obligation or a responsibility to design it in a way that it shouldn't end up as pollution or it shouldn't leak into nature. So that's the concept of EPR. So extensive examples exist elsewhere, such as Europe and Taiwan, for example, where it resulted in reducing waste, improved collection, as well as improved recycling. And it also we also see a pattern where through the system there is a economic base for economic base that improves the recycled content as well as the market for recycled materials in the system in the country. So why we want EPR is that right now most governments are actually struggling with the financial burden in managing their waste due to the composition of waste. Mostly it's mixed, and some countries like for Southeast Asian countries, they don't have a segregation system. So the waste that ends up are mostly highly mixed and contaminated, and which results in complicated waste management at the end of life stage for waste operators, be it municipalities or private sectors. So EPR will provide a dedicated financial source, which will be sourced to improve the collection, sorting, and as well as recycling infrastructure for the products, the packaging, and as well as the dedicated waste that we want to cover under the system. So with additional finance available, the coverage of collection can be expanded. Recycling quality can be improved through proper segregation system or separate collection system or effective sorting system, for example. And through the recycling process, this feedstock can be channeled back into the system to be reused again. And EPR system also requires a formation of a producer responsibility organization, a system operator, and the main feature would be to have a fee, introducing EPR fee, and setting obliged companies. Who are the obliged companies? For example, those bringing the products into the market. So these obliged companies have to pay a certain number of fees depending on the product or packaging design that they bring into market. So these producer responsibility organization, or we call it as PRO. So we want them to eventually be responsible in managing the end of life management of products and packaging, be it they run the operation themselves, or be it funded economically, or both. So this is how we want industry to come in picture, and which will also address the current gaps or current challenges in the waste management system. And of course, due to the various sector that is involved in waste management in everywhere, and also in Malaysia, where we can see governments, municipalities, private sectors, small and medium businesses, and as well as we also have informal sectors, and as well as civil societies. It is critical to have a legal framework for EPR, where detailed and defined objectives are listed, roles and responsibilities are clearly identified, and enforcement mechanisms are identified and implemented as well. So EPR will actually complement other existing environmental regulations and ease the process of shifting to circular economy for all parties and all sectors involved, and as well as promote eco-design, and as well as resource efficiency in the economy.
All right, thank you, Tyrell, for the very great, insightful, a great overview of what is the EPR about. So, like you say, putting the responsibility to the industry, having an industry to obligate, that they have the responsibility when they produce the product at the beginning. They need to consider it, how this product turns into waste, and then how can it be reused properly. Because I believe that the challenges in the recycling industry is they are having a tough time to really segregate out the proper material and then turn into a more useful material. All right, thank you, Tyra. So Tyra just now mentioned very good point as well. The burden from the government to manage the waste most of the cost is on the segregation part, when they need to segregate all those items into a certain type of material, and then to be recycled and then to reuse again. So actually, on the Tzu perspective side, we do have the community who are at a grassroots level. They have been already engaged and then to recycle the materials at the local level, even without the legal framework. Yeah. So now I have Richard to share with us more. How can the community can be more engaged in the circular economy context?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fu. And before I share the technology approach in Taiwan, first of all, I want to show you a product. So it's a blanket. These blankets, because of Da'ai, this is the first thing that we produce, but everything starts from here. So this blanket is even more famous than Da'ai itself. Because this blanket, it happened before Da'ai established. So, and this blanket is made from recycled plastic bottles. And where these blankets used, is travel to over 43 countries and regions in the world, and comforting almost a million souls after disaster for those people in disaster. So when disaster happens, city volunteers would prepare blankets or other necessities to distribute, to reach out, or to comfort these victims. So this blanket is first produced in 2006, and Da'ai technology was established in 2008, 2 years after this blanket was produced. So due to the inspiration and encouragement from Dharma Master Chen Yen, 5 entrepreneurs who are Master Chen Yen's disciples founded Da'ai technology. So they taking the concept of coexist with the earth. So the company was set up to develop technology used to produce all kinds of clothes, blankets, or daily use textiles product from the recycled plastic bottles. These bottles are collected by Tzu volunteers. So Master Chen Yen encouraged these entrepreneurs to gather more people to apply their professional expertise in reaching and developing technology used to produce eco products. So thereby also benefit living beings in the world. Thus, with their professional expertise and selfless loving heart, these entrepreneurs also join hands in applying the concept of environmental protection and charity in the development and production of eco products. So back to the environmental protection part. 30 years ago in Taiwan, which is in 1990, Master Chen Yen, the founder of Tzu Foundation, was giving a public speech. And after the speech, all the audience was clapping their hands. And she said a famous quote that we can all use our clapping hands to do recycling, to do environmental protection. So this actually started the very first person in the audience to do environmental protection, to start doing recycling. So this is where the community comes in. So we call it the culture of environmental protection. So the blanket and other Da'ai eco product, the origin is from recycled plastic bottles, or we call PET bottle, which Da'ai brought the bottles, Da'ai buy the bottle from the recycling station in Taiwan. So there is about 86,000 environmental protection volunteers around Taiwan, dedicating themselves in nearly 9,000 recycling stations. Actually, this recycling station is more than the convenience store, more than the 7-Eleven in Taiwan. So they use their hands to protect the environment. And there's a selfless story of commitment from the Tzu environmental protection volunteers behind every Thai eco product. So what is the connection with the community? So who are those volunteers? What kind of people are they? Actually, they are just ordinary citizens in the community. They could be any one of us too. So you can become one of these people in your own community, using your hands to protect this planet, protect the earth. So these volunteers are the people from our neighborhood, children, adults, elderly, retired people. They can be aged from 70, 80 years old or below 10. So all kinds of social status people comes in, and they go to the recycling stations every day. In Taiwan, it's every day, every morning, even before dawn. They selflessly sort and separate those recyclables so that I can have the great raw materials to produce those eco products. So like these recycling stations, they give hopes to seniors. While they are contributing, they also feel the joy and happiness from protecting the earth, giving the next generation a better future, a cleaner planet. And the recycling station provides a chance for these recycling volunteers to interact with others, and thus gives many seniors or volunteers a spirit of hope and meaning in life. So they all have their life story just like you and me. Some of them are extraordinary. Some of them may have only one arm, may have only one leg. They may be mentally disabled or physically disabled. They may have abuse problem or divorce, but they are doing the same thing to protect our earth, to protect this planet. So this is why that I call it the culture of environmental protection, because we want to pass on the story that people haven't been in touch or doing recycling. They haven't do it. So we try to get them into this loop and start doing environmental protective work. So CG volunteers worldwide actively promote recycling to the public, also in Malaysia. I think start from 1995. Now there is nearly 1,000 recycling stations or recycling points in Malaysia. So maybe in Malaysia, they are doing recycling every week. So there must be a place because 1,000 points or station. So there must be a place close to our home, maybe your home. So maybe the recycling station, the large points, some of them are large points, some of them are small points. Like in Taiwan, maybe the recycling points is just people's garage or front yard. So they donated their place to do recycling every week and inviting everybody from the community to come in to do the same thing. So city volunteers also encourage and guide the residents in their community to carry out eco-friendly habits and practice in their daily life to protect the environment. So they also visit corporations, schools, public and private organizations to advocate environmental protection concepts to spread the idea. So from 30 years ago, 1990 until today, already 30 years to implementing the environmental protection mission involving these volunteers. So they are volunteers, they are not paid, but they still willing to do, just with a pure heart to protect our earth. So this is the cycle model that turning trash into gold by taking action to conserve resources and reduce carbon footprint. So this not only gives Thai technology the material source to produce a product, but also cultivating spiritual circulation in people's mind, inspiring more people to join this effort. So I guess this is what the people in the community can become the part of the circular economy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing on behalf of how the community really works together. I think it's very important to have a group of people of sharing the same aspiration of protecting the environment, and also we don't discriminate anyone who really doing recycling. It can be entrepreneur who is doing recycling. So this human change of behavior can actually been seen in the CC model, where while we doing recycling at the community, actually at the same time also educating people, the volunteer themselves, and also among the community that doing a proper segregation, and also indirectly becoming one part, one small boat in the circular economy. Yes. So before we move into the next speaker, so for the live participants, if you have any question that you would like to ask or maybe dedicate to one of our speaker, please leave your question down at the column below, and then we will let the speaker then answer your questions. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so talking about, so now we have quite a great picture of the EPR side, and also how the community, and also the how are we going to make the waste management to be better. So after hearing all this, Dr. Siva, we would like to know how can the community and the industry can be more engaged, so that not only in Malaysia, the whole linear economy can be shifted towards circular economy more faster and then more efficient.
Interesting question. Okay, I like to take I like to take a step back and see. So how does community and industry try and move the recycling industry? You see, if it's industry-based recycling, let's understand one thing. Industries are business-based organizations, and business-based organizations are very simple. If I don't make money, it's no use running my business. So whether it's for the environment or whether it's for anything, the first thing is we need to make money. So before we even go to the synergy between industry and community, let's understand the recycling chain. Okay, if when you have a product being manufactured, and after the product is then used by the consumer, you have some material which is not wanted and it goes into the waste stream. Now, most of the time it's packaging. Let's just take a simple loaf of bread. A simple loaf of bread, we all take the bread. We once you finish using the bread, the plastic and the top plastic which is used to seal the bread, so that too is the waste product. Now, if we keep it and if we use it for a secondary use, then that single-use plastic has got multiple use. If not, how do we dispose this? Where is the economic value for this material to become the next product? That is the question mark. Many people come to say, and yes, let's recycle plastics, let's recycle plastic. But the question is, one plastic bag, what can it become? 100 plastic bags, 1,000 plastic bags. How many plastic bags that is needed that can recycle? And we know plastic bags are LDPE. LDPE can be cleaned, melted down, and made into either storage pipes or building pavements or something. So the question mark here is between industry and community. The first question is, in the industry, where is the commercial application? Now, if the commercial application, let's just say, okay, if the commercial application is we can make sewerage pipes, okay, sewerage pipes per feet or per kg will get you 3 ringgit, let's just say. Okay, and that 3 ringgit requires 5,000 bags to become that 3 ringgit. So that 5,000 bags now is less than 1 cent per plastic bag. And that per plastic bag 1 cent then needs to be paid for from the user to the middleman to the recycling center, and from the recycling center then goes to the manufacturing plant. So understanding all of this is something which is very important before we can even talk about how the community is going to work and how the industry is going to work. So this is why we very often see and we very often say that we want to recycle, but I segregate all my waste, but it's not recycled. I put my waste inside the recycling bin, go to there, and then we don't know what happened to the material. So the value of the end product, does it commensurate enough value to being brought back to the user, who is going to then, is he going to gainfully have any income from that? I am talking about the person on the street. So remember, a lot of people will come and say, oh no, recycling is something that you must do to earn to save the environment and all of that. Yes, I understand saving the environment is very important. I agree with that. But when the question comes between saving the environment and having a plate of rice to eat, sorry, for myself, I will decide on the plate of rice, not on the recycling. That is reality. Let's understand that. Okay, if I can make enough money from recycling, that will ensure that I have my plate of rice ensured, that will happen. If you go to places like India, you go to places like Philippines, you go to places like Indonesia, recycling is happening and it is enough to feed a family, but it is not a very healthy lifestyle to lead. So going back to your question, what is the communication what is the synergy between community and industry? Like I said, when we want to, in the context of recycling, the industry, the demand for this material needs to be there. Going back to the example that I spoke to you in my first session just now, the the old newspaper, that has enough value in it, so that when the guy comes to your house, he can offer either 30 cents or 40 cents or 50 cents per kg. So that has enough value. But so now what we need to do is, okay, the end, in the case of plastics, the end product is A, B, C, D, E. Okay, A, B, C doesn't have enough value to translate to the user. And you got to understand, not only the user needs to earn money, the guy who is driving his car all around every day, he needs to also pay for his petrol. He also needs to pay for himself to do this business. So all these factors need to be put in before that synergy between community and industry can come in. So what are the materials that can be recycled into? I like the one that I hope I got the name properly, is doing, because they are creating a very good demand. There is a lot of disaster. These blankets are very much needed. It is a technology that definitely can be brought down to Malaysia, provided the value for recycling is there. So what we need to do is, in the synergy between community and industry, is to understand the value of what we want to recycle into. And the day that there is value in that recyclables, the material will automatically disappear from the waste stream. I can give you a guarantee on that, because we have seen things happen. Remember, I remember when I was in my primary school time, And at that point of time, the price of metal was very, very high. And I don't know how many of you all remember, it came to a point where manhole drains disappeared at night. And even the what do you call, the drain covers that prevent people from dropping into drains were made out of metal. Those things disappeared. Every metal part disappeared from the street. Why? Because the value for recyclables was high enough for people to do their jobs. So that is the guarantee that I give you. When the value in the material is there, the material will automatically disappear from the environment and it will not be a waste anymore. Now, the question of community and industry, that is my answer to you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ho, I would like to add on to what Rachel and Mr. Siva said. So, on role of communities, WWF just recently launched a report on EPR in Malaysia. So the report was about assessing packaging waste in Malaysia and the current waste material flow in Malaysia. So quite a bit of data. We got it from MCCG Foundation too. So in Malaysia, we found that informal sectors and communities such as MCCG Foundation and similar civil societies play a huge role, and informal sectors play a huge role in the current recycling capacity in Malaysia. So most of the recycling or the collection in existing system is being carried out by these players and not the official or formal system. So we, in our recommendation for EPR in Malaysia to the government and the industries, we emphasize the role, the importance of the informal sectors and as well as communities, and we encourage them to include or integrate these sector in the EPR system. In our opinion, without integrating these players in the system, the EPR system will highly likely to fail in the long run, because as Mr. Siwa said, right now, as he referred to the metals, the most recycled plastics, PET, HDPE, and the rigid materials are being collected by the informal sectors because of the value in it, and there is no value for the flexible packaging or the other 4 types of plastics. So those plastics are those end up in landfills or end up as pollution. So the EPR system, what we recommend is to identify system relevant packaging, where the EPR system needs to identify what type of plastics or what type of packaging needs to be addressed in the system. So addressing certain type of plastics or products will eventually transfer the cost or problem elsewhere. So those problematic packaging should be given emphasis to, and there should be incentives for those items to be collected and eventually transferred or put back in the loop. So that's one of the systems and one of the issues that EPR needs to address for it to be successful in Malaysia. So yeah, we strongly acknowledge communities play a huge role. So for them to expand to other plastics and other materials, there needs to be some kind of financial incentive available to them, be it improving their livelihood, or there's financial benefits or their living conditions. So these are aspects that should be considered eventually in the system as well. As for just to add on, as to address the market for recycled content. One of the initiatives that the Malaysian Plastic Bag Platform is doing is companies or industries that sign up. There are a certain number of targets that they need to commit to achieve, and one of that is to increase recycled content in their products or packaging, for example. So we hope by the policy, by the circular economy policy, and as well as EPR, which sets national targets on recycled content, and as well as the relevant standards through the government policies and as well as industry commitments, can drive the recycling industry in Malaysia, and as well as provide the value needed to get these downstream activities going.
All right, thank you, Dr. Siva. Thank you, Tyra, for your great inputs. Yes, there's no doubt that industry needs to really look at the value, because if there's no value, there's no really purpose of continue for doing it. So it really comes to the the speaking point of sustainability. If sustainability in the UN perception, the UN definition means leaving no one behind, regardless the industry, regardless the environment, or the people who are doing the recycling work or the less fortunate one. So making this circular economy a more sustainable way, and also everyone's gets benefit from implementing circular economy. It is a very important thing to keep in mind. Yes. So now we have Rachel. What is your thought regarding how can the industry and also the community can really work together in order to accelerate the circular economy transition?
Because I already in this industry already 12 years, so I'll share what I already doing. So in the previous part, we talk about the material source from the recycling station, from the volunteers. After receiving these materials, the next question often comes is that how exactly all these eco products, these blankets are made. So from the bottle all the way to the end product, or those textile product, or the shirt I'm wearing now, also the eco product. So there are 7 steps. So first of all, it is a bottle, a discarded bottle. After sorting the color, remove the labels and bottle caps. So it will pile up to become a huge compressed bale. And after cleaning, cut it into pieces. So a bottle pieces, and it's become flakes. This is flakes. So I use the physical melting technology, and it becomes chips to melt into like pellets, chips. So this way is without chemical pollution. So chips can be drawn into yarn, the thread, and yarn can weave into fabric, and fabric made into finished product, textile products, clothes, eco clothes. So out of these total 7 steps, dye technology has no factory at all. We don't produce anything by ourselves. Instead, we invited over 150 cooperatives, those industry cooperatives in Taiwan. We invite them to join in this platform to contribute to the society, to contribute to people in need. So we improve those manufacturers' green production concept to use a more eco-friendly way to manufacture a product. So we call it a cycle of love. So Thai abide by the cradle-to-cradle concept to its production line. Now, a word trend, cradle-to-cradle refers to designing products that are easily recycled at the end of their life. So Thai products are all made from recycled plastic bottles, also not using any dyeing colors, and maintain the original colors of its products. So these actions protects the environment from further pollution from the chemical dyes or and remaining the original color. So a transparent bottle comes up with a white shirt. Green bottles like Sprite will come up with a green shirt, so to avoid a large water consumption. So until June 2020, Thai had recycled more than 700 million used plastic bottles, so discarded plastic bottles, to produce fabric. And it totals saved around 12 million liters of petroleum, the resource used to produce plastic bottles that would otherwise have gone to waste if the bottles were simply thrown away, go to ocean or landfill or rubbish. Yeah. So talking about energy saving, Thai eco product reduce 84% of energy consumption and 77% of carbon emission. It is compared to the product that using virgin plastic material, virgin PET material. So eco products made by recycled PET bottles are also as high quality as made from the virgin one. So how Thai as the industry to spread this eco-friendly concept to the public community? We set up a one-stop demo unit, a machine that for environmental education. Thai technology always conducts more than 300 round seminar each year. So the most frequently heard question is about the recycling process. So everyone is curious to know how to recycle discarded PET bottles into environmental protection product. So in order to answer this long-standing question, CG Recycling Station has come up with better education tool for this program. So in 3 years ago, Thai Technology cooperated with CG Volunteer to set up the demo unit on site to duplicate the process of recycling waste bottle into scales, pellets, thread, or of those fabric. So this production process simulation not only provides visitors opportunity to see the work in progress, but it also provided them with a chance to feel the end product. So it spread to the community, so more people can know this, like the process, and can feel the end product. So we will set the machines in an exhibition space. So this has become the major highlight of the exhibit and achieved the significant environmental education. So after months of hard work, the mini machine was finally activated in different regions of Taiwan and the US and China. So this one-stop demonstration process as the exhibition for domestic and foreign guests to experience the strength of Taiwan's environmental culture. So next I want to share is the production history of Thai. What's special is every of our product, we do have a production history. It looks like this. So now we are trying to save paper and ink, so we do it on a tag that also made up of recycled bottles. So this is the tag that stick to our product. So this provides the viewers to have a better understanding of the Thai tech story behind the products, and also knowing this product is not only environmental friendly, but it's also energy saving, reducing carbon emission, and the stories of volunteers who are involved in the production. So for example, the blanket, they may be still a piece of bottle in 2012, and it will become a blanket in 2016, and this with all different dates on the tag. So it tells you how many bottles that product used to make, how much CO2 or water or energy you have saved. So you know why you are supporting eco-friendly product. So there are also some recycling volunteer stories. Because of their dedication, we can have various kinds of product made from recycled material. So the dates are exactly, you can know when it is recycled, when it becomes a finished product. So let's see some of the result of the eco product. They are all made from recycled plastic bottles. So because city volunteers always goes to disaster relief, so Dai Technology also develops a series of products called compassion technology. So it combines a series of functional eco apparel and accessory made from recycled PET bottles. Also combines renewable solar energy. So this is a cap that have solar panel on it, so it can light up when in the disaster area they have power shortage. So the fabric is made from recycled plastic bottles. And puncture-proof shoes, the fabric is made from recycled plastic bottles to protect the feet from a sharp object. When there's a nail on the floor, when you wear these shoes, you can step on it and it would not be punctured. So these design ideas came from rich disaster relief experience from city volunteers and the compassionate heart from Master Cheng Yen. So and not apart from manufacturing products from plastic bottles, even bottle caps are recyclable. They can be made into stationery in our daily life. So actually the plastic bottle caps, the material is PP. So the cover is made from PP. So it is the eco stationery that we can use in our daily life. So different kinds of product that we can take recycled material to make into. So another important series is, we call it recycle to recycle series. So actually related to the circular economy, also our today's topic. So what the problem with the textile products, regardless from coming from virgin or eco materials, is wear and tear, and will eventually become garbage. So after the product is worn, and it still become a garbage. So moreover, the Taiwan textile industry alone creates 15 to 20 tons of disposal fabric from manufacturing per year, and causes a great impact on the environment. Thus, Thai took a meaningful step to look over new possibilities based on the cradle-to-cradle design model. So with years of development, Thai has successfully developed the recycle-to-recycle circular economy technology. So we take discarded textile leftover as the raw material and develop a series of products such as vests. So it is made from the blanket that already using recycled bottle to make, and when the blanket is worn, we recycle it again to make into different products like a vest, scarves, or chef mask, the frame, and sun goggle, the frame, also the frame. So different kinds of product that we can make. So this create a closed loop supply chain. so it can be recycled again and again. So we just move forward to waste reduction to zero waste. So not only textile products, we also have green building material and eco wood. So the building material would also considering the sustainability and circular economic model. So we use discarded plastic bottles, composite material, combined with the formulation technology and process condition to develop this kind of eco wood. Yeah. So as we see all over this product series, which designed for purposes, one of the most important aspects of dye technology is that this company do not only do this marketing or selling these eco-friendly products, but also the net profit of this company 100% goes back to CG Foundation for charity purposes. So to support the disaster relief or public welfare programs. So all our net profit, all our work, all our effort eventually goes back to the society to help people in need. So that is the most important part. And also for the community to know that the environmental protection concept, people who purchase this eco product from Dye, they are not like chasing fashion, but they contribute their love since they understood all the net proceeds are donated to CG Foundation for charitable work for disaster relief. So environmental protection and choosing eco products are the trends of 21st century, following recyclable, low pollution, and resource saving philosophies, promoting consumers to purchase and recycle and remake products rather than completely new ones to lower energy and resource use. So this is exactly dye technology does to elevate everyone's eco-protection awareness. So when you wear clothing bearing the dye brand, and you know the story behind this eco product, so you can feel the selfless love of the many recycling volunteers. And that is something that missing in other enterprises. So Dye hopes to build not only enterprise or industry sustainability, but also spiritual sustainability in every people's mind. So back to the community part. Once the recycling volunteers shared that the eco blanket that I made was sent to the disaster area and distributed for those victims. And the blanket is made from 67 recycled plastic bottles. Maybe one of the bottle was collected or sorted by her. So like she's the one who goes to disaster relief. And she has the contribution on disaster relief and helping people too. So this is the mindset that connected all parts and work together on this mission. So I hope everyone could join in this environmental protection effort together and form the kindness the cycle of kindness between community and industry. Yeah. Environmental protection, they are really like caring for this planet and they will choose eco product. So maybe in Malaysia, we need to spread more this ideology to people to make them to implement in their daily lives. So this recycling materials, this recycling, maybe before it's a garbage, it's a trash that can recycle to make into another new product that is also can use in our daily life, but not those virgin product that use petroleum to produce, use original material to produce that will consume more energy, water, or consider the carbon emission. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel, for finishing your thoughts here. Yes. So Yeah, I think you have bring out a lot of many good examples of how a product can have its value, and also letting the value to be known by the community, and then the community they will be more engaging to continuously to be involved in one of the to become one of the volunteer to start recycling and also segregating, and also letting the consumer also know, because consumer is also part of the community, and then they also know the value of today I'm purchasing this product, the value itself, where does it come from, and then which volunteer, and also the selfless effort by all the volunteers throughout the whole world that make this product possible. And this is also really making this whole thing sustainable, where leaving nothing behind, including the material itself, the excess material, to remake it and then reuse it to produce another product. Yes, that's a very good synergy between the community and also the industry. It may seem like not working together, but indirectly it also encourage a different area, also different stakeholder, to make this circular economy possible. Because many people think the circular economy is not really possible to be implemented in this economy. But through the example shared by Rachel here, yes, I think it is truly possible. It depends. It's come back to us whether the human behavior, like Dr. Siva mentioned, has been changed, and also the idea of putting responsibility on the industry side through the EPR policy actually works out, right? So we are going to nearly reach our final session. Yeah, to the final point of our session here. So we'd like to have final thoughts from every speaker. So I'd like to have Tahira. Would you like to add on some of the sharing thoughts by other speakers regarding the community and also industry engagement?
So I think like I mentioned just now earlier, and as well as what Mr. Siva and Rachel shared, um, no individual party can do it alone, and without contribution from everyone, circular economy is not possible. But at the same time, there needs to be a coherent coordination between the efforts by all parties. This is where we believe the role of government comes in, not to regulate something that is not um, acceptable or not doable by all the parties, but it's more to make it coherent for and acknowledge all the parties involved in the supply chain to make it more coordinated and as well as effective. And I guess the while there are various initiatives going on, be it the industries or communities, the data component is missing, and this can be enhanced through a scheme, a proper policy or scheme where we need a proper monitoring and traceability system to ensure all the efforts and the flow of the materials are being registered somewhere. So data is important too, be it the efforts by communities or industries. So this could be part of the initiatives covered under the top-down strategy by government, and as well as any initiatives by industry.
All right, thank you, Tahira. Dr. Siva?
Firstly, Rachel, the things that you have done is really amazing. Please do keep that up, and maybe you can share some of the information, because not everything can be duplicated in Malaysia, but I am sure some of it can be taken up in Malaysia. And yeah, just to sum up, my thoughts are, yes, circular economy is something that we definitely need to live up to. there are bits and pieces of it which is already running in society. We can see that very clearly in the newspaper value chain, in the PET and those kind of value chains. Now, how do we expand these success stories into all the other different material which is out there? So yes, I will say circular economy is successfully being done in Malaysia, but I believe right now it is just on a cherry picking concept. We need to now expand it to a larger material usage so that can be used by everyone. On another note, we also need a good drive from both the industry and the government, where policies and implementations need to be aligned. And like what Tahira was saying, how can we create pilot success stories which can be industry driven or consumer driven or even community driven, which then can be duplicated very fast throughout the country. If these things can be done, then I don't see why circular economy cannot be implemented to all the different types of material which is being produced by society today. So my final thoughts is, yes, we need to go towards sustainability, but that sustainability needs to be something that touches everyone in both a positive in a positive manner, so that the benefit to the environment and to the economy is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siva. Rachel?
For dye technology, in the industry actually is different from a profitable business model. So it's a company that emphasizes love or spiritual transformation factory. So as a social enterprise, instead of a profit-driven corporate, dye also like inspires more individual and businesses to serve a higher purpose for the greater contribution to humanity and this world. So usually companies pursue ROI, the return of investment. However, dye ROI is pursuing return of influence. So dye is a like mind factory. So apart from turning waste materials into eco products, the companies also invites all to purify their mindset with love and warmth. So good action requires great effort, especially when the goal is to create a sustainable platform for great love. So we try to provide inspiration to all, no matter in industry, entrepreneurs, communities, volunteers, and citizens. So hope that they can plant this seed in their hearts and implement environmental protection to create global eco communities. So actually, everyone has the power to change. So how to arouse the public environmental awareness, which is to start from oneself, to take action to influence others, like bending over to pick up trash, seemingly small actions, but it can make the world become better. So this is the value of environmental education. So understand and implement the spirit of environmental protection. Also, as Ms. Tahira mentioned before, the 5 recycle 5R. Oh, we have 5R. Ms. Tahira mentioned 3R. So the first step is refuse to use non-eco-friendly product. The second step is reduce. When we couldn't refuse, and reduce the use of non-eco-friendly product. And the third step is to reuse containers or product to reduce one-time misuse product. So the fourth step is repair or repurpose. So we do repair and maintenance or repurpose to prolong the article's life. And the fifth, the final step is recycle. So recycle a product and turn it into a renewable product. So ultimately, the most important thing is to be able to use alternatives to plastic products from the start. So how like the last but not least, DAI has been promoting environmental education and spread the ideology through different events, sharing or exhibition or display booths or CG Foundation's maybe exhibition or recycling station. So to learn more about DAI and demonstrate that recycling and technology could combine into one, people just need to you can just pay a visit to CG Recycling Center. So we hope that visitors could also practice how to love the earth by recycling in their daily lives. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Rachel, and then thank you every speaker who share a very good points regarding bringing a circular economy into our possible world. You know, having the industry and also the community join hands together. So it is a very it's a very important strategy, having the great action in introducing circular economy in our current world. And regardless, the policy is a top-down approach, having the policy and also encouraging the government, industry for doing, and also the bottom-up approach, having the education and also advocate the local community to join hand to be part of the circular economy system. There will be a common goal, which is reducing waste to be produced more and more, and also stop polluting our environment, and then for the sake of our future generation, where we can stay in a cleaner and also the better environment. Yes, so hope the participants, the live participants gained a lot. And then now we will go to the Q&A session. All right, so we will look at the questions now, and then to see who speakers can really answer the questions raised by the participants. All right. Okay, everyone. Okay, thank you so much for the live participants who are joining us for this live Q&A session. So now we will move to the first question. So the first question is, has the industry been looking into Petronas' move to establish a plastic recycling company with Plastic Energy Limited? If so, has there been any progress heard? Yeah.
Mr. Fu, I think I will take up that question. From the industry point of view, this is definitely something which is very interesting. It is something that we all can look forward to. But plastic recycling can happen upstream. Plastic recycling can happen midstream. Plastic recycling can happen downstream. So we need to then know what kind of recycling that is being mentioned here. And I presume if it's Petronas doing plastic recycling, I presume it is upstream, addressing the production of fuel to plastic. And there is still so many other recycling that needs to be done. What the industry can look forward to is, if there's a demand, then definitely it's a good indication for the industry to help plastic move out of the waste stream and come into the recycling stream. That's my very quick answer for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Siva. So the next question for Tahira is that, what is the current situation in Malaysia when it comes to EPR? What are the government and business sector doing in relation to EPR?
So for EPR, currently the government, as in the 12th Malaysia plan, the government is looking at EPR as one of the mechanism to achieve to roll out circular economy, and as well as the Ministry of Environment and Water, CASA, is also looking at EPR mechanism as a way to achieve plastic circularity for Malaysia in the circular economy roadmap. So both of these policy related work for EPR is in the plans, and we hope to see result or in the next upcoming years, in the 3 to 5 years.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tahira.
Sorry, I think I've forgot business sector. Okay.
Yeah, the business sector, the government
business
and the
sector,
business sector.
yes. As far as business sectors like the major multinational companies in Malaysia, like 10 companies, if I'm not mistaken, have formed a producer responsibility organization. So due to their group commitments, as well as to drive the roadmap for zero single-use plastics initiative in Malaysia, they are working on implementing a voluntary EPR mechanisms, and this is also currently in plans or in the planning process, and we will see the results of this in the next coming years.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tahira, for answering the questions. So, yeah, hopefully, the people who raised up this question will get answered. Yeah, for the question that you've been asking. So the third question, this is dedicated to Tahira as well. So how do you see voluntary collection or segregation initiative, like what Tzu Chi does fit into a mandatory EPR system? Oh, sorry, Tahira, you unmute yourself, please.
Did I get the question right? Voluntary collection, is it?
Yeah, voluntary collection and segregation.
Okay, so I think like I mentioned, and as Rachel mentioned as well, Suji is one of the largest informal recyclers in Malaysia, and there are various other informal recyclers in Malaysia as well. So, and they operate on nationwide collection, whether they have a collection point or they have collection centers, or they do door-to-door collection. So, and they are already, this is already existing functional system, so which is critical to drive effective collection and recycling for Malaysia. So for how this can fit into mandatory EPR is, once we roll out a mandatory EPR system in Malaysia, we hope to integrate these informal sector players in the mandatory systems. We should not abandon any informal sectors in mandatory systems, but rather they should be integrated and form as a part of system to complement each other.
All right. So for this one, Dr. Siva, I would like to add on for this part for the voluntary collection and segregation.
Thank you, Fu. Voluntary separation and segregation, like what I always say, it depends on what the end goal is to the person. If the goal is receiving, getting some kind of returns at the end of the day, then that recycling will carry on. If he doesn't gain in any way, then that system will fail. Why do I say this? Is because I think we have got a very good history on recycling, and a lot of people do recycling because there's a gain in that. And I remember when I was, I think I was anywhere between the age of 10 to 15 years old when I was in my primary and secondary. I remember when the recycling price of metal was very high, even the manholes on the road and the simple metal pieces on the road will disappear because recycling was very, very good. The recycling price was very, very good. So any material in the environment automatically disappeared because the price was so good, and that brought in the recycling. So whether it's voluntary or whether it's purposeful recycling, what is the end game for the person? And EPR will then help to do more of the recycling if that EPR money can make sure it goes back to the person who's consuming that product. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Siva. It really comes back to the end goal. Yeah, like you say. So another question to you, Dr. Siva. So this is in residential-based recycling. We had waste segregation at home in Selangor. It doesn't seem to work now. So what went wrong, and how can we tackle this?
Okay. Thanks for a very interesting question, and I really like the person who brought up this question. Why is as we all know, there is already a federal regulation that says that you must separate at source, and I agree. I totally confirm to that regulation, and I want that regulation to be in place. But also understand this: when I separate my material, there must be a facility then to receive that material and then to process that material. If I am separating my material and there is no facility to receive that material, or if there is no trucks to receive that material, no specific trucks to receive that material, no specific collection route to collection time, collection route, where to drop off, and all of this not in place, automatically that system will fail because the next value chain is not in place. So if you understand, so that is why I always say go back to the value chain. When you establish a value chain, are all the components in that value chain established? If the components in that value chain is not established, doing one part of the value chain will automatically break down because the other part of the value chain is not ready to either receive or process that material into the product that it needs to get through. So what is happening in not only in Selangor but also in all other states in Malaysia is that there is a lot of people on the ground who wants to do recycling, and I get this firsthand from a lot of people. Hey Siva, why I did my recycling, I did my segregation, I put it in all the different bags and I kept it out. Everything goes into the same lorry. Why you want me to do this recycling? So I get that questions very often. But because the lorries and the collection systems are not equipped or are not prepared to receive these materials individually, it's all going into the same system again. So what went wrong is, I think what we should, let's not put the blame on the government or on the NGO or on anything else. What my suggestion would be is for that individuals who have had the idea of recycling, now they need to do is find out where the recycling centers are. Where are the nearest collection centers? Where are the nearest recycling points? Where are the nearest drop-off points? If they can, then what they can do is take this material and put it near nearest drop-off points, or put it at the nearest recycling point, so that then this material will not go into the waste stream anymore. So what you put out of the house is only material that you cannot find a recycling value for it. So that goes into the lorries that does the pickup. If you have something that you want to recycle, you then don't put it out of the house. You have to take the initiative as a responsible person, not only to yourself, but to the environment, to find the appropriate recycling point, collection point, whatever point that will then ensure this material can be recycled and taken on its process. That's my 2 cents worth there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Siva. So I think this is the same that's happening in Australia, because I saw a documentary, where the people get interviewed, like, okay, they have done their job, recycling it, but in the end, they do not know that all these plastic waste, those cheap plastics is shipped to Malaysia, and then we have the issue where we have containers and containers of cheap plastic being sent to our country.
Yes, exactly, Food. Recycling can happen and all these collection centers can collect, but of course, you then need to do a bit more work and find out whether it's actually being recycled or whether it's just put into a container and shipped to Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, India, South Africa. So there are many, many more third world countries who are willing to receive these materials, not only Malaysia, but also from other countries. So it's a long question.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Okay, then the next question is quite long actually, so I'll just read it out mindfully. So with pandemic issues, there are more people buying products through online and delivery, which resulted a lot of packaging waste. So therefore, the participant would like to ask how community-based organization and also waste management companies can play a role in speeding up the enforcement of recycling or 3R in Malaysia so that the waste generated can be more proper managed at household units. Yes. So maybe Rachel, you can answer this question first.
Okay, for dye in Taiwan, because in Taiwan the situation is okay. So we also do online shipping, but we're more like encourage our customers to pick up on our shop, the physical shop around Taiwan. So when they like buy in our shop, then actually our packaging is more simple, and we will ask whether they need this package or not. If not, we can recycle it again. So for this part, our package is simple, and we will ask them for like recycling those packaging, and we will recycle again for ourselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's for
I have to say for Malaysia, of course we went through one MCO from March to July, and during that time of that period of time, there was a lot of people going on to Shopee, onto all the different what do you call online buying that we have. And I remember I bought one shampoo bottle for my daughter, and that shampoo bottle was, I think the packaging material that it came in was 5 times the size of the shampoo bottle. And I was at the end of the day when I opened up that 5 layers of shampoo, the shampoo bottle was very, very, very good, very well protected, well delivered. I take my hats off to the guys who did the packaging, but the amount of material that needed to go down the drain was enormous. And so what I did is, of course, we made sure that it went to at least it went through a proper recycling company who will at least recycle those materials. But most of these end up in the waste paper bags. And number one, we got to look at how we can encourage online shopping to reduce the packaging sizes. But I don't blame them, because any damage on the product will then mean that they have to compensate for damage. So packaging has to be right. But maybe there can be a system of how this material can be sent back to them, or can be sent back to a proper collection system, which will then recycle this thing. So these are things that needs to be looked at, because as we change our lifestyle due to the different pandemics and all of that, there is a lot of things. I have a friend whose mother stays alone. But what he did is he bought three aluminium zebra food containers, and every time the Grab guy comes, he delivers one container, a three-deck container, which has all the different food in there. He delivers one, he picks up the next one and goes to for pickup, and then he comes and delivers it the next day for the next food. So as far as packaging is concerned, those people have gone back to zero packaging with only, so they have that system which is serving them. So it is our responsibility to ensure that we create our own um, 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 different carriers, plastic packagings, or whatsoever that will reduce the consumption. All we need to do is we need to be very mindful of what our consumption patterns are. I think that's the main case here.
Yes, thank you, Rachel and Siva. Yes, I think it comes back to the awareness and also the our change of lifestyle and also behavior to really push forward this type of responsible consumption and also consumerism. Yes, how about Tahira? Would you like to add on regarding this question?
I think, as you said, consumption pattern needs to change. As for rather than relying just on community-based organizations and these management companies, we as consumers should look at how we can reduce our consumption or plan our purchase. In During pandemic, there are a lot of things we are restricted from doing. So we can always plan ahead on how we do our purchase. So we can look at bulk ordering or purchasing so that we don't order single items in multiple orders, or we can do our groceries a month ahead in one packaging, so the packaging will be a lot lesser um, than if you do it on one-to-one basis. So I think these are small things that consumers can do that will be a lot more impactful as well.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, Tahira. And then the next question is to Dr. Siva. So the participant said, I like the idea of sufficient incentive for recycling. So where would these funds come from though? Yes, that's the simple question.
Thank you, Fu, again. Interesting, very interesting question. Incentivizing recycling is not something that you want to do on a long-term basis. Yes, you must have incentives. Basically, to kickstart recycling, I agree that you must have incentives, and incentives can come from so many different things. Incentives can actually come from the value of that item that you are recycling itself. So the most efficient recycling that I know of in Malaysia is back to the paper lama or the old newspaper system. So the old newspaper system has zero incentive inside there, but because the demand of that material at the production is high enough, that translates to the 30 cents or 50 cents that you receive in your house, which is the actual incentive that you are getting. But that incentive is not coming from the government, from the NGO, from anywhere else. It is coming from the recycling industry itself and from where the material is ending up. So that is the ideal incentive that you want to work on. So the system, the recycling system itself pays back enough so that covers, it gives you a certain amount of returns, and it also covers the whole value chain. Now, for items, I also understand paper has good value at the end of the day. Unlike some items that do not have value at the end of the day, this is where EPR systems can come in to start the incentive system. But I will say it shouldn't be something that if it's taken off tomorrow morning, the whole system dies. A lot of programs, not only in Malaysia, but in Southeast Asia, Whenever the funding is there, the program runs. But along that system, they must find a value in that recyclable which has enough monetary returns to ensure that that value chain keeps on running even without any other incentive coming in, like how the old newspaper is running. That's my answer for that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it comes back to whether the model for the incentive, then it's very important to look at it whether it's sustainable or not. If
Exactly.
one day, if the incentive like get put out from the whole model, if it crumbles, then it is not really a long-term solution to solve the waste problem, or maybe and even creating a circular economy. I think circular economy, it needs to be sustained for a longer time for the people in the future, right?
Fu, I have to add on that it's not only in terms of circular economy. I agree with circular economy, but very often in circular economy, that the value at the end of and once the material has been recycled, that value of that end product must be able to pay for the middleman, the collector, the end user, and all that petrol that needs to be transported and all of that. That value must be there so that then this value chain is 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 viable and is sustainable. I think that should be the main discussion here, because very often, because the end value of the product is not high enough, it cannot support that value chain that's ensuring the material to come back there. And when that breaks, the whole system breaks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally agree with Dr. Siva's input. So when talk about value, so I think the next question also very links back to the value of the item itself. So the question is, people always have the mindset that eco product are much expensive than non-eco product. So what are the solutions for that, so people can start using eco products and to protect the environment? I think Rachel can answer this question.
Okay, so for eco products, because the process of like recycling and have this material to send to those industry to manufacture, and as we couldn't like compare eco products with normal like clothes, because it is totally using different materials, because clothes use some of them is use crude oil to produce, and so maybe we should compare like for dye we will compare this product with um, those company who also produce eco product. Then, but for that, our product is can consider not very expensive. So, so another idea is for dye, our product is when you buy dye product, the net proceeds is returned to disaster relief or return to charity. So this is also like consider you are doing charity. And also dye's clothes or products is not designed for like fast fashion. So we encourage people to wear it like for a long time, not just like discarded after little times of use. And also, we will always say that actually you can know the eco products value, but not considering the price, because like for dye, our product is the material is come from recycling station. So these recycling volunteers, they are not paid. They are just doing volunteer work. So when you take this eco product, when you get this eco product and you know the story behind this product, which is like which is these volunteers, they contribute selflessly to protect this earth, so you can know the value of this product. So what we always sharing is that we encourage people to have to do environmental protection and to raise the awareness of environmental protection. So and this recyclable, when you do environmental protection, this recyclable can be transformed into something valuable. So transform into eco products. That's our that I always like promoting to our customers to maybe when they are purchasing eco product, that when this eco product compares to another one, compares to virgin product that is more energy saving, the story behind it. Yeah. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I think it's very good idea that having the comparison, acknowledging that the product that you're producing now is actually then you're going to raise out the quality and also what is the value from purchasing this recyclable product instead of choosing the other one that consume more energy. So price is one thing, and then the other thing is to knowing the value itself. By buying this, you are already putting some effort of taking care of this environment. Yeah, this sense of participation is very important, right? So I think we are coming close. We are coming to an end for our live conference. So I think this will be the last question. I think it's open to every speaker here. So is there any plan to establish a full-fledged upcycle product mall in Malaysia, as in Sweden, Retuna Upcycle Product Mall, in order to intensify the circular economy agenda nationally? Yes, I think Dr. Siva, you would like to answer this question.
Thanks, Fu. I really support this idea, and it's something that we definitely must do. I believe there are some organizations that are already doing this. I know for one, BG in, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Damansara does this. Rachel, you are doing this not in Malaysia but in Hong Kong. But yes, we should have this upcycling. We can start it with a small shop lot, but then coming all the way to a product mall, yes, it must be there. But who is going to start it? How the business model, everything has to be looked at, and then it can go in. But I believe this is something that we should do. Tahira, you want to add in?
Yeah, not that I personally know of anything, but it sounds like a very good initiative to at least showcase to the public of what can be done with upcycled plastics, so people have the awareness and the motive to segregate and send their plastics to recycling centers. So on a more national scale, although it's not a mall, but I think we are looking at more commitments from private and private industries, and as well as other agencies in recycling, and as well as circular economy. So how that is going to get translated in small actions and such as this, I think we can see interesting actions in the next upcoming years.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Yeah, it comes to an end for our live conference. So thank you everyone for joining. And then just a quick summary for this conference session. So all in all, creating a circular economy, it does takes effort from different stakeholders, from the community and also from the industry itself. The end goal of a circular economy is closing the loop, reducing the leakage, in the linear system, in the linear economy system that we have. So by even closing the loop, that's why it comes into play where the community and also having the EPR system that supports the recycling effort that we have been mentioning a lot, because recycling it plays a very, very important role in reducing the leakage and then to turn it into the circular input material. And then it comes back to the value itself. So once everything has been recycled and then turned into the product, so what is the value? Is there a demand for the market? I think that one has to come into mind as well, because if we do not consider this aspect, so this circular economy, or maybe those how to say, there are endless of incentive that we have given to start up all those projects will not be sustainable if we do not consider this aspect very seriously. Okay, so it, and also our personal behavior also is very important. So we do not need to have, of course, policy also makes a big difference, but it comes back to our own, whether we are taking the initiative to know more, to learn more, to change for better environment, and also reducing the waste that we produce in the daily life, right? So once again, thank you, speakers. Thank you, Dr. Siva. Thank you, Rachel, and also thank you, Tahira, for joining us for this conference. So I'm Mr. Fu. So, and then we would like to end this conference. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.